Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now today we are going to have a pairing video of our Birupes simomoxigorums. Now these guys, you would have remembered last year we paired this particular female and it all looked really good, and unfortunately she ended up molting out. Which wasn't surprising because we were in the middle of a move at the time, so she'd been here, there and everywhere, moved around, the environment was changing all the time. So this might have been enough for her not to actually feel satisfied enough to drop a sack, and like I say, she did eventually end up molting out. Now that was all way back last year, and she's since molted again now. She molted around about 3 months ago, so around about Christmas time she molted again, and we had a young male, subadult male, that we've been holding back, and he has just recently matured, so it was time for him to have a go and see if we couldn't pair these guys once more, and with a fresh new male. So without further ado, let's go over and have a little look and see how it got on. Right, here we are now, about to introduce our male Birupes simoroxigorum. What a mouthful that is. Simoroxigorum. What a name. Now these guys are found in Malaysia, and that is the only place they've been found. So they are not a very widespread spider. And I think these were found back in 2019. So they're a relatively new spider to the hobby, often known as the neon blue leg, which has no significance to this little male that we are looking at now. Now, as you can see, he is like a smoky brown colour with pure black velvety legs. So once they actually mature out and they become a mature male like this fellow here, they lose all of that blue colouring. So when they're young and they're juveniles, they look really exquisite, and as they mature out, much of that colour disappears, and for the males the whole colour disappears. Now we've just added this one in. This is a fresh mature male, and this female here is the one that we paired up last year. Unfortunately she molted out. Now we had a very successful pairing, but as we said, nothing came of it. She molted out, so we're not quite sure what the trigger was to actually get her to drop a sack. So we're going to do things a little bit different this time round. We're hoping to get a decent pairing this time with this particular male. We do have another male, an older male, which we tried once before. As you can see, this one's responding straight away. See how he's waving them pedipalps? Very much like the chilobrachys, they all do the same kind of thing, almost like a distinct visual display. As you can see there, he's sussed out that she's down in that burrow, and you can see that there's strands of webbing across the burrow. She quite often seals herself in totally of a daytime, comes out of a nighttime. So they rebuild the entrance to their burrow every day, which is quite an interesting thing when you consider people often get worried and complain if they see you pulling down a bit of webbing or whatever. For these guys, this is a daily occurrence, and this is just what they do. So the webbing that you can see all in the front entrance to that burrow is there purely to act as protection against other invertebrates trying to gain access to the burrow. It also gives them an early warning system as well. And most things will be put off by that little bit of webbing on the front there. Now, as we can see there, our male's got that lovely golden carapace, dark black velvet legs. You can see there with a close-up, so he's actually a really hairy legged spider. Now, he's taking his time. He's probably picking up that there's pheromones. He's not 100% sure. You see how strong that web is while he stands on it? That is multi-layered. Awful lot of stuff on the front of that. Now, we're not getting any response from our female just yet. And it does make you wonder, with the visual display from the pedipalps there, she can't obviously see any of that, but she will be able to feel the vibration that it's making. I'm just going to have a little wander off now by the look of things. As you can see, he's very, very responsive. Every tiny little impact on that moss, she will be picking up. Now, we've edited this quite strongly because this whole pairing video that we see here, this is about 18 minutes long, and it actually went on for well over an hour of him walking backwards and forwards, doing his stuff on the outside and waiting to actually just get a response from our female. And it takes a persistent spider to pull another spider out of her burrow like this. And you can see how the tempo changes. He's slowed right down now. But as you can see there, his pedipalps are pulling on pieces of web that are joined to that water bowl. These will all be linked back to the entrance to that burrow, and she'll be able to feel everything that he's doing outside. He's a lovely looking spider. He's in tip-top condition. You see that shaking of the body now? Now that will be very apparent to our female. So what she can't see, she most definitely will be feeling. Now we skip through a bit now because he was sat there for a long time, and then he came walking up the front of the glass and had a little wander about. Then he came back down again and he started all over again back down in this corner. We still haven't seen anything from our female, and we are probably about 45 minutes in now. Not a sign of her. We were starting to wonder whether she was actually going to make an appearance at all. And all we can do is sit back and wait on the persistence of our male. Now, she molted out around about 3 months ago, so we are playing around a little bit with molt times now to see whether molting some of our spiders in the latter part of their molt cycle is any more beneficial. See how he's just literally torn down that piece of webbing? He has opened that burrow up completely now. He is very, very keen. You can just about make out them pedipalps frantically waving away. Now this is a dangerous time for our male because she might just turn around and grab him. She might chase him out. All manner of things could happen in that very, very tight space. Now look at that, that's something we see quite often. She's obviously turned around now and facing him. He was starting to web up the entrance to the burrow behind him. Look at that, now we're seeing the visual display very much in case. See how his stance has changed? He's much more like a coiled spring now, whereas he was quite relaxed before. She's coming out. She's thumping the ground as well. This is all looking very, very good. Now you can see there as well that our adult female is a very similar colour to our male. She is a fully mature female. So all of that blue goes in the latter part of their life cycle. It's only really seen right the way through until they're almost reach maturity, and then the blue fades away. And you can see now he's trying to draw her out. She's looking nice and relaxed. This is all looking very promising. Now we often think that when they hold their pedipalps up high like this is as much to protect them. Should she make a lunge for him, she could easily rip one of those off. So by holding them up high like that, he stands a chance of just keeping them out of harm's way. But I do believe this is also showing as a visual display as well. We're still seeing a little bit with the body shaking. So he's still talking to her through vibrations. You notice as she's slowed down, she's not doing anything now. And his tempo is calming down as well. You can see the emboli there are all ready. There is a rhythmic attitude to them pedipalps and what he's doing with them. There you go, our female's responded. You see how he forces the tempo up, and just by touching her, that actually creates her to move and respond back again. Yeah, he's speeding things up. She's slowly coming out. Here we go. And you see as she starts to leave the burrow, he moves forward. He's going to try and reach underneath her. You can see now he's searching with his pedipalps. He's pushing her legs back. He can almost reach her. Not quite. You see how now she's tucked back in the burrow again. He's not 100% happy about that, so he's moving backwards. He's trying to draw her out once again. She's showing to be relatively responsive at the moment, so there's a good opportunity. He will pull her out. If only we knew what was being said right now. There you go, she's responding again. Now you can see there that the second pair of legs she's holding quite high, but the front pair are actually down and touching the floor. This is a fairly relaxed. Here we go, we're going back in now. Again, she has tucked herself back in that burrow. Whoa, look at that, she's almost disappeared inside. This is not what he wants, look. This is making it very, very awkward for him. Now we see this with many of the spiders. The females will try and draw that male back down into a burrow. And if he persists and he manages to copulate inside the burrow, she has got him nailed to the floor very, very easily. He cannot escape properly. Whereas if he can draw her out, then he stands a good chance of being able to inseminate the female and make his escape. Very important that he gives himself room to get out. You can see there, she's like holding fast now. She's not really responding in much. Quite often when we get to this stage, it will be a contact. He will touch her leg or her foot with one of his, and that will literally encourage her to come forward. Oh, she's going to do it herself now. You notice how she's come down. Now you see how he's shaking his body? That's got him excited. He's ready to go. Now you noticed up until that point we hadn't seen much in the way of body vibrations. But as soon as she started coming forward that little bit, that set him off. And you can see how the tempo, he's touched her now. And you can see how the tempo is coming forward. She's coming forward as well. You notice how he backs off just that little bit. He's maintaining that contact, but by the same token, he's actually moving backwards as well. And you can see she is almost a full length body out of the burrow. And he's taken that opportunity. Now he's moving in. Here we go. We have insemination now. You can see by the angle of his body and the way that he's changed his movements, he is inseminating as we speak. Our female has got splayed fangs. You can see how he is reaching under there. He is inseminating now. And we can tell by the angle of his body that he is using one pedipalp on one side. And you can see him frantically pushing away there. There you go. Now you can see when he goes full strength, full stretch, the abdomen lays flat. And you can see how he literally slants his body from one side to the other. So we know at this moment in time, he is using the left-sided emboli. And as he moves over, and you'll see him twist, you'll see him use the right. So we are getting insemination from both pedipalps. Always a good sign. You see how our fangs are completely splayed like this? This is a good common sign that we are actually, he's achieving what he's been put in there for. Now you can see the back legs on the male, how he's pushing forward to reach in to inseminate. This is also allowing him, his legs are cocked like springs. So when the moment comes, he can pull himself backwards as fast as you like. Now he's finished. You can see how the embolia comes straight back out. So he's protecting them again. There you go. He's pushing back. You notice he's still touching her with one foot as he backs out. And he lowers her back down onto the floor. Now she is in that trance-like position now. We can see he is still displaying. So he's still showing an interest. But now he's broken contact. This is where it can all change very, very quickly. And we can see she is still in that trance-like position. Her fangs are still splayed. So this is another sign to say that we have had a successful insemination. We often see this particular stance from the females in Balfour are very, very common for this. They will sit and look like this, almost in that trance-like position. And you can see he's slowly but surely, he's still responding. He's still, look, we've got the body shakes going now. Now, does this mean he's going to go back and have a second go? Now, we would like to think that while he's communicating like that, she is not thinking of actually eating him. But as we can see there, the fangs are splayed and she has not moved. Maybe she's in a state of euphoria. It's very, very tempting now to keep a real close eye on them. Be ready to intervene should she come charging out. When they're in this situation, the males have the best chance of escape because as soon as she moves, he will be gone. Now you can see how he's very, very tentative. You know, so he's moving sideways. He's very aware that she's just sitting there. And he's looking quite comfortable, so whatever is going on is giving him the confidence to actually carry on with what he's doing. And we can see there he is not in the slightest bit fazed by her. And she still hasn't moved. I think he must have done a good job. Absolutely awesome bit of work there. There you go. Now he's touched her again now. Now you see how she didn't really change. Here we go. We're going to have another little look. I think he's just been a little cheeky, to be fair. No, he's had enough. He's off. And look at that. She's just sat there nicely waiting. So what we do now is we just wait for our male to move away, and then quite often if we're any bit worried we will just touch our female on the leg and she will back down into the burrow, and then we will look at catching our male, and that way we're not going to be worried about him bolting away or back down there. Sometimes we will cover the front of the burrow if we have a particularly flighty male, but this fella's absolutely perfect. Well done. Well, as you can see, that looked like a successful pairing. Now what you saw there was around about 18 minutes or so of condensed footage, and the actual whole pairing went on for about an hour, hour and a half. So it was quite long-winded in the very early stages. It was very, very slow. Now we noticed with the Birupes that they do an awful lot of visual display, which almost seems wasted when you consider that our female is tucked down in a burrow. So she's not actually seeing a lot of this visual display. Although it's quite interesting for us to watch, I don't really think she got to see a lot of it. Now, you can see there where he moved around the entrance to the burrow where she'd webbed this up, which is another interesting point. We mentioned this in the video there, that we quite often, people get quite excited about seeing webbing destroyed in an enclosure, and we've always said it's not a big deal. If you need to tear down the webbing for maintenance or for feed or whatever it might be, it's not the end of the world. These guys are used to webbing up on a daily basis in certain circumstances. So she will web the entrance to that burrow every single morning, because she tears it down in the evening and she comes out and hunts, gets a drink, does all the spider things that she needs to do, all in the night time. And then she'll go back in the morning and then she'll web it all back up again. So what she's doing is she's closing the door to her burrow, and this is giving her an advantage. So anything coming along during the daytime, sniffing around the entrance to that burrow, she is going to know about it. And having that fine web all over that entrance also acts as a deterrent, mainly to other inverts. So if you had something like a giant centipede, these guys come from Malaysia, if you had something like a giant centipede or whatever on the hunt, they very rarely will they push through webbing. They will avoid it because they don't want to get caught up in it. So it puts things like that off. Whereas if it wasn't there, a giant centipede may well go down in that burrow and could quite possibly kill that size spider without too much effort, and that would be the end of that spider. So it's there as a defense to look after themselves and keep unwanted guests out. As we saw with our rather adventurous male, he weren't taking no for an answer, and he tore the door down regardless. And yeah, he went in there, and he soon got a response because we saw him jump back out again. So she came out, and we saw from the very beginning there was no real aggression from her. Now we noticed this when we paired her once before. They're not a spider that seems to be overly aggressive. They seem quite gentle with each other. That being said, we have seen females chase the male off after they've actually managed to copulate. So there is a little bit of friction there maybe, but generally speaking, they're very, very well behaved. And we saw that again today. She went into that trance-like position where many of our spiders do. And that gives our male chance to get out of there and do his thing. He can escape, move on, try and find another female, do whatever, but he gets away alive. And this is something that's very, very important. And it does bring up the question about, it's often been a thing that's been said in the spider world, that the females eat the male because they need the nutrients from that male to produce an egg sac, because she's going to be underground for, maybe 30-40 days at a time. And it's an interesting sort of theory, and it's a theory that's been banging around for the last 40 odd years, way back in the early Attenborough days when we all used to watch Life on Earth. And I think that's where it probably first came from. But I don't necessarily think that's true, because we have a very, very high success rate with our males. Very few get eaten, but it doesn't affect the ratio of our egg sacs. So we're still getting good egg sacs and everything else, even though our males are escaping with their lives. So it's maybe not such a nutritional thing. We could argue the fact that our females are fed better in captivity, so they're getting plenty of food. But it seems a very false prophet for wild females to eat the males. At the end of the day, they need to get out there and reproduce. So it's a bit of a backhanded sort of thing, really. And I'm not sure it's particularly correct, should we say. I think it's more a case of, as we've shown with some of our other spiders, the gentle ones seem to get away with their lives quite easily. It's the ones that cause our females a little bit of discomfort they're the ones that the females often react in an aggressive way and try and grab our males. And I think this is more down to the female getting that discomfort rather than her feeling like she needs to have a feed, you know, like a food thing. But it's an interesting thing to look at. Now, as we saw in this video, our male walked away fit and young, ready to fight another day, and we will try him again. He's going to have another attempt at this female. We've also got another adult female as well, which has also molted out around about Christmas time as well, so we're going to give her a go as well. We've also got an older male that we tried. He's getting on a little bit now, but we saw an entirely different reaction from him. He showed very little interest in really getting to know our female, and she showed absolutely no interest in getting to know him. So maybe there's something in that. Maybe he's getting just a little bit too far gone and there just isn't the viability there, whereas our young fresh male, straight in on the job. So there's lots to be said for this aging with males as well as females. We still need to learn an awful lot more about what's going on. But yeah, fingers crossed, we will give them another go. We may not catch it on film, but we will definitely pair them again and see what happens. And then it will be fingers crossed, hopefully we can get a sack produced and maybe some babies. So that'd be really, really cool. These guys do have large sacks, so they have healthy sacks. We could be looking in the region of 200 plus youngsters within a sack. So they're big sacks for these guys. Considering they're not particularly big spider, they do have big sacks. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. We've got a number of other pairing videos on their way. Some of them not so successful. We've had a couple of cantankerous females. Even though they've been really, really fed up, they're still quite aggressive. So it's an interesting thing to try and find out what is going on with those females. Why are they actually being the way they are? And we can say aggressive because they are being aggressive to their own kind. So their actual display, their movement and everything is just aggression. They are trying to grab these males. So they are looking to actually do these males some harm long before they get round to doing any kind of courtship. One thing we have noticed is on the occasions where this has happened, many of our males have been very, very slow in actually introducing themselves, and they've just bumbled on in, and our females have taken offence by this. So that might be something as well. Maybe the communication is not there. The question is now, why is it not there? So there's many questions to ask, many things to learn. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that little video. Some lovely spiders there, and it'd be cool to get them ticked off the list of being bred in the beastie room. Right, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.